What if Uncle Iroh trained Anakin Skywalker? Let's explore the depths of this scenario in the video. Yoda sits peacefully atop the ruins of an ancient temple, practicing his breathing exercises until he sees a figure approaching. An old man appears from the rocks, holding a pie show board. General Iroh smiles and sets it down. Yoda picks up a White Lotus tile and places it down at the center of the table.
I see you favor the White Lotus Gambit. Not many still cling to the ancient ways. Welcome, brother. The White Lotus opens wide to those who know her secrets.
As they finish the exchange, the two friends smile and embrace. They begin playing their game, but Iroh senses something is off with Yoda and clears his throat between moves.
Something tells me that there is more on your mind than this game. Troubled, I am. Though your world is at peace, much turmoil there is in the galaxy. More complicated things have become since Qui-Gon Jinn returned with this boy.
Boy? Yoda explains how Qui-Gon Jinn found a boy on Tatooine who he believes is the chosen one, but he is reckless and too old to be a youngling. If it's true, he needs to learn more than just using the Force or handling a lightsaber. Anakin requires spiritual nourishment and wisdom.
A master this boy needs. One thing it was when Qui-Gon was alive, but without him.
You want me to train him?
Reminds me of Zuko, he does. Ashamed I am to ask you this, but troubled the galaxy is.
Iroh sits back in his chair and sighs. The 100-Year War had just ended, and he hopes to live out his days in the Jasmine Dragon. But as he looks at the worry in his friend's eyes, he understands that Yoda would not make this request lightly. Slowly, Iroh reaches out and grips his friend's shoulder, promising that he will help. Together, the two begin planning Anakin's training. Anakin will be trained by Obi-Wan, but Iroh will be a spiritual guide for him. This creates a healthier balance for him. Obi-Wan is stern, sarcastic, and traditional, pushing Anakin hard to surpass both him and his master. This means drilling Anakin relentlessly in both the Force and lightsaber combat. In contrast, Iroh takes a more patient and casual approach with Anakin. While Obi-Wan puts Anakin through physical training, they usually meditate or learn about chi and spirituality. Iroh explains that he comes from a world with an unusual relationship with the Force, where most Force-sensitive individuals harness the living Force through the elements. He teaches Anakin that while most people can only harness one element, learning should not be limited to one area. The same is true with using the light side and dark side of the Force. Are you saying I should harness the dark side?
Not quite. I'm saying there is something to be gained by understanding it. Your emotions will always be there, even the less pleasant ones. Only by facing them can you truly conquer them.
Iroh channels lightning and launches it across the sky to prove his point. Though he pants heavily, he appears untouched by the dark side. Watching this, Anakin develops a deep respect for his master. In many ways, it helps Anakin validate his feelings, allowing him to feel comfortable expressing himself, at least to Iroh. While Obi-Wan might be his older brother figure, Iroh behaves more like a surrogate father to him. This plays an important role as Anakin's next mission is to protect Padme, an old friend. As they spend more time together, the two begin to develop feelings for one another. Although Obi-Wan remains adamant about focusing on the mission, Anakin feels comfortable enough to confide in Iroh about it. To his surprise, the general is supportive of Anakin's feelings.
Perfection and power are overrated. I think you are very wise to choose happiness and love.
You really believe so?
I'm no Jedi, so I'm not familiar with the dogma they follow. But I do know that joy is something rare in the galaxy, and one should never be shamed for pursuing it.
But what about my duty? What about my role in bringing balance?
Are you dedicated to this mission?
I am.
Then you will find a way.
The two of them embrace, and Anakin secretly marries Padme with Iroh as a witness. Although he feels attached to Padme, his talk with Iroh resolves him to carry out his mission. And none too soon, as shortly after, the Clone Wars begin. Although not a Jedi, Iroh still offers help as a strategist and leader. He proves to be a brilliant general. His strategies and connections to the White Lotus helps him lead Republic armies across several worlds. When he does enter the battlefield, Iroh's firebending is unmatched by anyone. Seeing his master's success, Anakin takes Iroh's wisdom to heart, fighting with everything he has and protecting the innocent. With Obi-Wan's training in combat, Anakin develops immense lightsaber and force skills. He also goes into the war feeling more well-adjusted and at peace, making him much better in channeling the Force. When he isn't leading the troops from the front, Anakin spends time learning about the Force as Iroh taught him, studying Sith texts to understand the dark side. This rise also catches Palpatine's attention, who believes Anakin would make an ideal apprentice. He approaches him several times and tries to turn him, but Anakin is resistant. Palpatine believes this is because of Iroh, who remains a positive influence. He decides to change tactics and remove Iroh. He slowly leaks information about Iroh's teachings to the Jedi Council. Palpatine makes it seem as though Iroh is encouraging attachment and learning about the dark side. He plays up the fact that Iroh is not a Jedi to more radical members of the Order. Although Yoda tries to defend him, many Jedi believe that Iroh is gaining too much influence over Anakin and places Iroh on trial.
You can't do this. General Iroh is my master. I've learned so much under him.
That is precisely the problem, Skywalker. While certainly wise, the General is not one of us. Teaching you meditation and spirituality is one thing, but to teach you about the Force is something outside his expertise. We believe the General has overstepped in his teachings, and it's best if we evaluate such things.
And where has he overstepped?
Open your eyes, young one. He has you learning forbidden texts and teaching you to think against our code. If you are concerned with training, Obi-Wan will be glad to teach you.
I will not deny the things I've said. I simply ask that the Council consider whether such things are as demanding as they believe.
He says he will accept whatever punishment the Council decides. They initially suggest sending him back to his home planet in disgrace, but Palpatine suddenly swoops in and suggests an alternative. Although he believes that Iroh and Anakin should be separated, he advises the Council to show mercy. He says that Iroh was simply doing what he thought was best, and is still a highly effective general. Rather than send him away, he suggests sending Iroh to fight in the Battle of Jabim, one of the most intense battles of the Clone Wars. The Council agrees to this, falling right into Palpatine's plan. In one move, he removes General Iroh from the equation while sowing distrust between Anakin and the Jedi Council. Anakin continues to achieve success, but his faith in the Jedi Order is shaken. As far as he's concerned, the Jedi is blinded by their hubris and code. Palpatine only sows further doubt by reminding him of how the Council failed to free his mother, inadvertently leading to her death, and later how they caused Ahsoka to leave the Jedi Order. Anakin spends most of his time on the front lines, away from the Temple and the Order, focusing instead on leading troops. This also causes Anakin to become more detached, thinking only of battles while neglecting the spirituality that Iroh tried to nurture. Palpatine reinforces this by sending him doubts and visions each time Anakin tries to meditate. Instead of becoming an opportunity to heal, meditation becomes a reminder of what Anakin lost. Even his friendship with Obi-Wan becomes strained after this incident. All of this leads Anakin to fall right into Palpatine's hands. The Chancellor becomes his support system, talking to him and providing advice that Iroh used to give. Their meetings continued until the Battle of Coruscant, where Anakin is asked to spy on the Chancellor. With the two spending so much time together, Palpatine has the opportunity to hint at his access to dark powers. How do you know so much about the dark side?
It's like your master says. To learn only one side of the Force is to blind yourself to the other. I've found that studying this has helped me with my career.
Despite the signs, Anakin is all too willing to embrace the darkness that Palpatine offers. As far as he's concerned, he owes the Jedi nothing. Over time, the two continue to talk, with Palpatine's influence growing over Anakin. One person who notices this is Yoda, who decides to use his contacts in the White Lotus to keep an eye on them and to contact Iroh. These contacts keep a close eye on Palpatine, listening to his conversations. While the Chancellor is careful to keep these private, the spies hear snippets of him trying to turn Anakin against the Jedi. Iroh promises to keep an eye on things and gather some help. It comes at the right time, as Anakin agrees to join Palpatine and even kills Mace Windu. Although impressed, Palpatine senses something wrong and orders Anakin to Mustafar while the clones finish with the Jedi Temple. The 501st, led by Commander Appo, storms the temple, cutting down any Jedi who get in their way. However, as they advance, a roar echoes through the night as a shape flies above them. A flying bison lands right in the courtyard. His tail snaps down and sends a shockwave across the clones. From the bison, Aang, Katara, Sokka, Zuko, Toph, and Iroh all leap out and join the fight. The clones turn to fire on them, but the ground itself rocks beneath them, allowing Team Avatar to smash through them. Their bending abilities are unlike anything the clones have ever seen, throwing them aside with ease. Iroh runs up and contacts Padme, who reveals that Anakin is heading to Mustafar to slay the CIS Council. Iroh hurries after him while Aang and the others finish off the clones in the temple. In the intense heat of Mustafar, a fierce duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan is taking place. The two former friends clash with lightsabers in a furious battle of strength and will. They have been battling across all the molten planet, leaping through the lava rivers, riding on mining droids, and fighting in the council chambers of the CIS. However, the battle has shifted in Anakin's favor. After years of training with Iroh, he is much more powerful than Obi-Wan imagined. With a sudden, overwhelming surge of the Force, Anakin disarms Obi-Wan, sending his blue lightsaber clattering to the ground. Anakin stands over his fallen mentor, his eyes burning with hatred. "This is the end for you, my master." He brings his lightsaber down and impales Obi-Wan's heart. A scream from the distance echoes across the world as Iroh appears.
Anakin, what have you done?
"I've found joy and love, as you told me."
I didn't tell you to bring misery to the galaxy. Look at all you've done. Everyone you've betrayed. This path will only lead to more suffering. Let go of your anger. It's not too late to turn back.
Anakin snarls and attacks, swinging his lightsaber with a ferocious intensity. Iroh deftly evades the strikes, leaping out of range. He raises his hands, manipulating the lava around them to form a protective barrier. Anakin lunges again, but Iroh uses the lava to shield himself and create obstacles. The molten rock obeys his command, forming walls and pillars that hinder Anakin's advance.
Think of Padme. Think of the future you wanted together. This is not the way to achieve it.
"You're wrong. The dark side is the only way to save her. It is my destiny."
Is it your own destiny? Or is it a destiny someone else has tried to force on you?
"Stop it, Master. I have to do this."
It's time for you to look inward and begin asking yourself the big questions. Who are you? And what do you want?
Anakin's resolve wavers. Iroh takes a step closer, extending a hand.
Come with me, Anakin. Let's find a better path together.
For a moment, it seems Anakin might relent, but the fear and anger within him surge once more. He raises his lightsaber for another attack, but doesn't move.
Please, Anakin.
Anakin's lightsaber trembles in his hand. With a final, anguished cry, Anakin collapses to his knees, his lightsaber slipping from his grasp. He falls to his knees and stares up at his master. Master, please forgive me. I'm so ashamed of what I did. I don't know how I can make it up to the Jedi. To his surprise, Iroh pulls him close and begins to embrace him.
I was never angry with you. I never believed you had forgotten the man you were.
I did lose my way.
But you found it again. And you did it by yourself.
Anakin, you have disappointed me.
Anakin and Iroh turn to see Palpatine standing on a nearby platform, his face twisted in disdain.
I gave you everything, and you choose to betray me for this old fool.
Anakin's lightsaber ignites once more, but this time, I won't be your pawn any longer. Palpatine raises his hands, unleashing a torrent of Force lightning towards Anakin and Iroh. Iroh swiftly bends the lava around him, creating a shield that absorbs the lightning.
Together, Anakin, we can do this.
Iroh shoves the lava forward at Palpatine, who blows it aside with the Force. The Emperor draws his red lightsaber. Anakin uses his superior agility, leaping from Palpatine's attack, while Iroh uses his bending skills to hurl rocks and streams of lava at Palpatine. Despite their superior abilities, Palpatine is no slouch and defends against their attacks before unleashing a burst of energy that sends them back. As the two stumble from the force of the blow, Palpatine rushes at them and throws a burst of attacks. However, Iroh and Anakin fight with perfect coordination, backing each other up each time Palpatine gets close to landing a blow. Soon, Palpatine begins giving ground to them as they advance towards him. Anakin's lightsaber clashes with Palpatine's while Iroh channels the heat from the lava, sending waves of intense flames towards the Emperor. Palpatine's strength begins waning under the assault. Iroh and Anakin press their advantage. Iroh manipulates a column of lava to rise beneath Palpatine, throwing him off balance. Anakin seizes the moment, and with one final attack, Anakin's lightsaber pierces through Palpatine's chest as Iroh bends the lava around them, encasing the Emperor in a searing prison. Palpatine's screams of agony echo through the inferno before falling silent. With the Emperor gone and the attack on the temple halted, the Republic is restored while the clone's inhibitor chips are deactivated. Amidst the fallout of the Clone Wars, Anakin decides to leave the Jedi Order, opting to raise his family instead. He journeys to Ba Sing Se with Iroh and settles down in his tea shop with him. 1 year later, they returned to the Jedi Temple, where a memorial was erected to honor those who fell in the Jedi Purge. The two stand in front of Obi-Wan's image and begin placing flowers and a tea set as they begin to sing.
Leaves from the vine, falling so slow, like fragile, tiny shells drifting in the foam. Little soldier boy, come marching home. Brave soldier boy, comes marching home.
That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.